Since the morning, Victoria's phone had been receiving messages one after another. Friends congratulated her on her birthday. Everyone wished her health and a speedy recovery. But Lily, the one who stole Victoria's boyfriend shortly before the school's last bell, wrote, "Look at the world with happy eyes." Is she crazy? Victoria shouted. Across the hospital ward, she swung her arm and threw her phone away. The device landed face down on the hospital bed. Look at the world with happy eyes? What world was there to look at now? Victoria's world had become this, a hospital room and a window overlooking a parking lot. Great world. Thanks, Lily, Victoria thought. Victoria's life had changed quickly and, as it seemed to her now, irreversibly. A car accident had divided her life into before and after. Her father had planned a family trip as a graduation gift for his daughter. Her mother and she had called a taxi to the airport, where their father was waiting, but they never made it. A car accident happened, and her mother died, while Victoria ended up in a wheelchair. Her mother was gone forever. Losing someone so close was unbearably painful. As for the wheelchair, the doctor said, "There is a chance, but it is very small and uncertain." Neither the doctor nor Victoria yet understood how to take advantage of this chance. It all depended on how her body would react. After the accident, Victoria was taken to a clinic owned by her father's college friend, William. For 2 weeks, she lay in bed without moving. A few days later, her father entered the room with a brand new wheelchair, smelling of plastic. That's when Victoria realized her condition was not encouraging. She had suspected something was wrong before, as she had felt nothing in her legs the entire time she was lying in bed. It won't be for long.
As soon as your spine heals, and you can
stand up, we'll get rid of the wheelchair, her father said sadly. But Victoria was not a naive girl. She had planned to enter medical school and knew well how severe spinal injuries could be. "Dad, will I never walk again?" she asked fearfully. "You will, but not now. You had surgery and you may need another one. But, Victoria, you have to make an effort for progress. That is the main requirement for a second surgery, movement, or sensitivity." Neither her father nor she yet knew what kind of effort Victoria needed to make for improvement. The doctor had promised to prepare the necessary recommendations for her discharge, but Victoria had already spent a month and a half in this hospital room, and there was no word about her discharge. Until today, Victoria's birthday. Alexander was deeply worried about his daughter. Whenever possible, he visited the hospital and spent time with her. At first, his daughter was devastated by her mother's loss. To be fair, Alexander still couldn't find peace himself. He had loved his wife deeply. Work kept him occupied, but caring for his daughter brought new priorities into his life. He used to be home once a week, sometimes even less.
Now,
he was doing the opposite, sending trusted colleagues on business trips instead of himself, and dedicating his free time to Victoria. For the first few days, Victoria simply refused to talk. She was in shock from losing her mother. Her mother had been the closest person to her, always there when she needed her the most. Alexander understood this, but he also saw his daughter's silence as a psychological trauma. He had even considered hiring a therapist, but his friend, Dr. William, talked him out of it. "Wait," he said. "Your girl will open up. We see this all the time. She'll talk. You just need to find the right words," the doctor reassured him. Alexander and William had been friends since college. They had lived in the same dorm, studied in the same faculty. But William went on to work in his field, becoming the chief doctor of the city hospital, and later opened his own private clinic, where Victoria was now being treated. The best doctors in the city worked there, and the medical staff was carefully selected. No one could get a job there through connections, only through knowledge and skill. "Our mission is to heal and save people," William would say to his colleagues. Ordinary patients also received treatment through insurance, so the clinic was accessible to everyone. For William, curing a patient was more important than making money. Alexander, on the other hand, went in a different direction but was still closely connected to medicine. He developed a pharmacy network and imported foreign medicines, opening pharmacies in remote areas so people could buy essential drugs at affordable prices. Searching for a solution, he spent hours in William's office. The doctor explained to his friend that there was no progress, that her legs needed to be exercised, and that he would write a special set of exercises that had to be done. He also recommended someone who could help. Mia is a wonderful girl, an assistant rehabilitation therapist. She's studying to be a nurse, a very capable young woman. Patients would come and personally thank her for her golden hands. They felt that thanks to Mia, they were recovering faster. She had a difficult life, an orphan since the age of 10. That's why she takes on any job. Take her in to help Victoria, and you won't regret it. All right, let's give your orphan girl a try as an assistant, Alexander agreed. And we'll see. Maybe I can help her with something else too. When meeting Mia, Alexander was surprised. The girl was well-mannered and smart. He explained to her that Victoria had recently lost her mother and was now forced to move around in a wheelchair. Mia understood that it depended on her whether Victoria would be able to walk again or not. At the very least, that was what was expected of her. She agreed without hesitation. Mia took hold of the wheelchair, directing it towards the bed. She wanted to reply to the message from Lily. Thank you, and send a smiling emoji. You can't show weakness at such moments, thought Victoria. At that moment, the hospital room door opened, and on the threshold stood her father. A doctor and some girl. A new caregiver, not this, flashed through Victoria's mind. No greeting, no happy birthday, her father began, holding a huge bouquet of flowers. Alexander, Victoria's father, was a well-known entrepreneur and philanthropist in their city. He often traveled for work, spending very little time with his family. His wife and daughter were jealous of his work, but that very work provided them with a comfortable life. Hi, Dad, Victoria muttered unenthusiastically. Hello, she continued. The greeting for the unfamiliar girl. Hello, Veronica, happy birthday. The three of them entered the room. Victoria, meet Mia, the girl who will be helping you while I'm away on business trips, said her father. A modest girl stood in the doorway of the room and smiled kindly at Victoria. Victoria looked at her and turned to her father. Dad, I can handle everything perfectly well. I get all the updates. Victoria looked questioningly at Dr. William. Veronica, Alexander, and I have decided that it's time to discharge you. You must learn to live in normal conditions without outside help. Adjusting will be very difficult. That's why Mia will help you at first, said William. It may be tough, but I don't need a caregiver. I can manage on my own. Victoria raised her voice slightly. Whether you want it or not, I
Can't leave you alone.
I have to leave today, and I'll be gone for a week, her father said through clenched
Teeth.
The doctor approached Victoria and checked the sensitivity in her legs. There was none. Victoria still couldn't feel her legs. William quietly said something to Alexander, then left. Mia waited in the hallway. Her father approached and hugged his daughter. Veronica, you are a strong girl. We will get through this together. He hesitated. I promise, you will walk again. Dad, what did the doctor say? Victoria asked hopelessly. He said there is no sensitivity, and that's bad, her father answered honestly. So please don't resist. Mia is a wonderful rehabilitation specialist. William speaks very highly of her. Packing Victoria's things into a travel bag, Alexander rolled his daughter's wheelchair into the hallway. Mia waited obediently outside the room and, without a word, followed Victoria and Alexander. A car was waiting in the hospital yard. The driver, Mike, got out and helped the father transfer Victoria to the seat. The day was gloomy, and Mike was silent. Mia sat in the back, next to Victoria. Pulling up to the house, Victoria thought, how am I going to go downstairs in a wheelchair now? But her resourceful father had already installed ramps everywhere for his daughter. So what? If it's ugly and spoils the appearance? At least it will be convenient for me, she thought. Victoria, for now. I've set up a room for you on the ground floor. See if anything is missing from your old room, and we'll bring it down for you, said her father. Old room, old life. If that's the case, I have to start living anew instead of dwelling on the past, thought Victoria. Dad, I need my laptop, she said. And the guitar? Her father asked in surprise. Victoria used to play the guitar, and she and the girls even had something like a band. They used to perform in the school auditorium, playing, singing, jumping, fooling around. But now this hobby would remain in the past, or wait until she got back on her feet. No need. I'm not planning to play for now. Victoria rolled into her new room. Everything was made to resemble her upstairs room as closely as possible. She examined every detail. Mia's room was next door. Should I come to you right away when needed? All right, I understand, said Victoria, not paying attention to Mia. Mia, you can go to your room and unpack your things, she added. Mia went to explore her room. It was wonderful, big, spacious, and bright. On the right, there was a large window, covered with soft olive-colored curtains. Opposite the window was a spacious 1.5-sized bed and a bedside table. Near the door was a wardrobe, and by the window, a small desk with a chair of the same color. Everything was done in soft olive tones, even the walls. Mia really liked the room. It was beautiful and cozy. There was also a private bathroom. She quickly put her things in the wardrobe, took out a sports suit, and changed. Stepping into the hallway, Mia remembered Alexander's words. Victoria could be in any state. And you, as a future medical professional, should understand that people who have suffered such injuries can experience a range of emotions. The most important thing is to follow the doctor's recommendations. Victoria was a kind and friendly girl with diverse interests. In fact, according to Antje, Victoria and Mia had to become friends. Alexander left that same evening, and Victoria and Mia were left alone. The cook would come during the day, but leave at 8 p.m. And the cleaning service arrived 3 times a week. So, for an entire week, the house belonged solely to Mia and Victoria. Victoria didn't tell any of her friends that she had been discharged. To be honest, she didn't want anyone to see her. If she mentioned it, a crowd of concerned classmates would show up to congratulate the birthday girl. But Victoria didn't want attention right now. She wanted to be as unnoticed as possible. However, her father assigned Mia to her, so she would have to find a way to communicate with her. Overall, Mia was a nice girl about 1.6 meters tall, modest and neat, never intrusive in conversations. But Victoria wanted to be alone, to think, and come to terms with the idea that the wheelchair was here to stay, maybe even forever. Victoria locked herself in her room and wouldn't come out. She was making plans in her head about how to live on and what she would do now. Victoria didn't like to dwell on sadness. She always found a way out of any situation. And even a wheelchair was just another challenge. She just had to adapt, and everything would fall into place. But returning to a house without her mother shattered all her hopeful thoughts. Victoria felt sad and lonely. In the evening, there was a knock at the door. Mia walked in, placed a glass of fermented milk on the table, and asked, "Victoria, are you okay? Do you need my help?" Victoria didn't want a stranger in her room, but she understood that this was her father's decision, and the girl was not to blame. So she responded politely, "Thank you, Mia, everything is fine. I will call you if I need anything." But Victoria never called Mia, not in an hour, not in 2. Mia was reading a book and couldn't sleep in the new place. The door to her room was slightly open, in case Victoria needed anything. Then suddenly, she heard something. It was either sobbing or quiet weeping. Mia quietly approached Victoria's door and heard crying. She gently opened the door and stepped into Victoria's room. She lay face down in her pillow, singing a lullaby. Lusha, Shun, they lived with Ilyushenka, little crumbs and tiny kittens. Mia sat on the edge of the bed and started stroking the girl's head. She didn't try to stop her from crying. On the contrary, Mia believed that it was better to let it all out. My mother used to sing me this lullaby when I couldn't sleep. Mom was always by my side. We were very close. And now everything in this house reminds me of her, Victoria said through her tears. Mia sat in silence and listened. She never liked interrupting people. She knew that sometimes a person just needed to speak. And my father, as you can see, is always traveling. Even on my birthday, he left on another business trip, Veronica said angrily. Mia had seen firsthand how much Alexander loved his daughter. She had seen him stay overnight in Victoria's hospital room just to be by her side. Mia, I'm sorry that all I do is cry, Victoria said. Tell me about yourself. About your family. Wiping her tears, Veronica asked Mia to share her story. Mia told Victoria how, at the age of 10, she became an orphan when a gas explosion destroyed the apartment building where her family lived. She had been away at a summer camp at the time. Her parents died, and she had no other relatives. Mia had no family left and no home. She was placed in an orphanage where the other children bullied her and called her a crybaby because, after losing her parents, Mia couldn't stop crying and refused to talk to anyone. But over time, she started to recover. The orphanage staff were kind and supportive, and gradually, she began to socialize. Eventually, she pursued a career in nursing. The director of the orphanage helped her get into an internship at Williams' clinic. Mia impressed the clinic's director, and he offered her a job as a rehabilitation assistant. Many patients came to the clinic and one doctor alone couldn't manage everything. Victoria was surprised to hear Mia's story. She was an orphan. Mia had been through so much hardship, yet she had persevered. Victoria realized that she, too, would get through this. She had just let her emotions take over today. Mia couldn't sleep well in the new place. She tossed and turned and only fell asleep. Towards morning, when the smell of cottage cheese casserole and fresh pastries filled the air, she woke up, got dressed, washed up, and went to Victoria's room, but she was already gone. Victoria was in the kitchen drinking tea. Judging by her cheerful expression, she was in a good mood today.
Mia was relieved.
After breakfast, the girls headed to the home gym. All the necessary equipment had already been bought according to Dr. Williams' recommendations. He advised starting each exercise for just 1 minute, gradually increasing the load and duration. Even the shortest exercises were difficult for Victoria. She cried sometimes, either from pain or exhaustion, but Mia remained calm and followed the doctor's instructions. Despite the pain and difficulty, Victoria pushed through the training prescribed by the doctor. Sometimes she wanted to give up, but after resting for a few minutes, she would start again. She desperately wanted to feel her legs again, to regain her strength. By the third day, Victoria had even started to enjoy these exercises. She listened carefully to Mia's instructions and tried to follow them on her own. After training, the girls would go for walks in the garden, talking about all kinds of topics, and they quickly became friends. Mia told Victoria about her studies at medical university, about the challenges she faced and how she dealt with them. Victoria shared her dream of becoming a pediatrician. She planned to become a doctor and treat children. She loved kids and had always wanted a younger brother or sister, but her parents never had any more children. During the day, the girls focused on rehabilitation, and in the evenings, they studied together, preparing Victoria for her exams for medical university. This is how their friendship grew stronger. A week passed. Victoria's father had to stay in another city longer than planned, but he was at ease when he heard his daughter's joyful voice over the phone and listened to her stories about how she and Mia were having fun. Mia was truly smart. She became not just Victoria's assistant, but also her friend. After the news of Victoria's discharge from the clinic, her old friends visited her a couple of times. They talked about who had gone where after finishing school and shared fun stories about parties with friends. Slowly, however, they started drifting apart because Victoria had different priorities. She put all her effort into recovering and getting back on her feet. But this journey was not a quick one. Every day, she gathered her strength and followed Mia's instructions. Mia supported her in everything, sometimes praising her, sometimes giving constructive criticism. And so the second week passed. One morning, Victoria woke up earlier than Mia and went to the bathroom. On her own. Brushing her teeth was much easier now. She was happy about her newfound independence and her progress. She was gradually learning to handle things on her own. When Mia woke up, they had breakfast and headed to the gym again. Victoria, one more time. You're doing great. Look how well you're managing. Mia encouraged Veronica. Suddenly, the door to the gym opened, and Victoria's father appeared on the doorstep. Victoria was thrilled to see him, and they hugged. Alexander approached Mia to ask about his daughter's progress. Mia told him that Victoria had been in high spirits the past few days and was following all the exercises and recommendations with enthusiasm, despite the difficulty of the training.
Dad.
Victoria suddenly called out anxiously. Her father and Mia turned to her, worried that something had happened. Victoria, what's wrong? Her father asked, concerned. Mia stood next to him, also watching Victoria closely, trying to understand what was happening. Dad, look. I did it, Victoria said excitedly, but with great effort.
She gently
moved the toes on her right foot. Dad, I can do it. Alexander was overjoyed and immediately called William to tell him about his daughter's progress, promising to bring her in soon. Mia helped Victoria get changed, and they drove to the clinic. Victoria was in high spirits. She had finally achieved a major breakthrough. This meant that not all hope was lost, and she had a real chance of walking again. After examining Victoria, William looked at her, Mia, and Alexander with a happy expression. The sensitivity has returned, which means the nerves and muscles are functioning properly. Mia, thank you for your hard work and persistence, the doctor exclaimed. And you, Victoria, are amazing. Thanks to your determination, you've achieved fantastic results. Let's get ready for surgery. Victoria underwent surgery, and now another round of rehabilitation was necessary. But this time, it had to be done in a different city. She needed to go to a sanatorium in the south of the country. Alexander didn't hesitate to send his daughter and Mia to this special rehabilitation facility. The girls swam in the pool for therapy, so as not to strain Victoria's spine, and in the evenings, they walked along the sea and continued preparing for the entrance exams. Under the sound of the waves, Mia took Victoria's hand and led her to the shore. The gentle foamy waves softly washed over Victoria's feet. She felt the warm water, the smooth pebbles beneath her feet. Mia, it feels so good to be here with you. I want to thank you for your patience, persistence, and help. And most of all, for being my friend. My old friends, seeing me in a wheelchair, quickly forgot about me, Victoria said, putting her textbook aside. You did it all yourself, Victoria. You're amazing. Now you will be able to walk. And you'll become the best pediatrician in the world. Your dream will come true, and you'll be able to give others hope, to help and guide them, Mia said, pausing for a few seconds. Before adding, I've never had real friends before. But thanks to you, I've learned what true friendship is. I can share my thoughts and experiences with you, tell you things I've never told anyone before. A month in the rehabilitation center flew by. Victoria was now able to take short walks with crutches, and each day, she felt more strength returning to her legs. She wanted to walk and even run. Leaving the sanatorium was bittersweet. It had been such a wonderful place. But ahead of her were the entrance exams. The exams turned out to be much easier than expected, and Victoria successfully entered medical university. By the time of the exam, she was already using only a cane, rarely sitting in a wheelchair anymore. She followed the doctor's recommendations every day and felt a surge of energy. During the last month of summer, Mia didn't stay at Alexander and Victoria's house, but she often visited her friend. They walked through the garden, went out to the city, and even visited cafes a few times. They always had something to talk about. They could chat for hours and never run out of topics. What brought them together was not just shared interests, but also the fact that both had lost loved ones and were trying to live on despite everything. Mia continued working at Williams' clinic, where all the patients loved and praised her. She had a great relationship with the clinic staff as well. Her performance during her internship at the university was also highly regarded. One day, William informed Mia that they had been invited to dinner at Alexander and Veronica's house. Victoria's father wanted to talk to Mia and the doctor. It was a formal dinner, attended by Alexander's business partners and Veronica's friends. Raising his glass, Alexander stood up and gave a speech. "Friends, these people helped my daughter stand on her feet again, believe in herself, and achieve success. A heartfelt thank you to both of you. I also want to recognize the efforts of young rehabilitation specialist Mia. Thanks to her dedication and hard work, my daughter not only started walking again but also successfully entered university to pursue her dream profession." Mia prepared Victoria for the entrance exams. The guests applauded Mia and the doctor. When the conversations among the guests resumed, Alexander invited Mia to his office. "Mia, once again, I thank you for everything you've done. I have an offer for you, and refusal is not an option. Victoria has become very attached to you. You have proven yourself as a wonderful person, and I am aware of your circumstances. I know you have no permanent place to live, so I want to offer you a home. Stay with us. This way, you can continue supporting Victoria, and you will also have a family and a home." Mia agreed. Alexander was frequently away on business trips, so Victoria and Mia were often alone in the house. The cook still came daily, and the cleaning service arrived 3 times a week. The girls went to university together, walked in the city park after classes, ate ice cream, and rode bicycles. In winter, they skied and skated. Mia continued working at Williams' clinic, and Victoria would sometimes visit and help. The girls became like sisters, doing everything together, from shopping to commuting to university. They even made new mutual friends. After graduating with honors, Mia started working full-time at Williams' clinic. A year later, Victoria also joined the clinic as a pediatrician, starting her internship. William had opened a new pediatric department for young patients. The girls became excellent specialists, and their reputation attracted not only local residents but also patients from other cities and even regions. Life was getting better. Mia had found a home and a sister in Victoria. Alexander treated Mia like a daughter, and for the first time in her life, she had a father figure. Though not biologically related, he became an incredibly close and dear person to her. Mia felt that she had finally found the family she had always dreamed of. She never forgot her biological parents who had passed away, always keeping their memory in her heart. Alexander, meanwhile, continued expanding his business. His pharmacy chains were thriving, and he opened 2 large pharmacies with a wide range of affordable medicines. His priority was ensuring that medications were accessible to people of all income levels. Veronica, on the other hand, was doing what she loved, treating young patients. She constantly heard words of gratitude from parents for her dedication. She even started playing the guitar again, but now she performed for her little patients, who happily sang along with her. She still kept in touch with her old friends, but not as often as they would have liked. Their interests had grown apart. Victoria sometimes missed her past life, but she enjoyed this new chapter even more. She had new friends whose interests aligned with hers, medical students, fellow specialists, and doctors. Mia and Victoria remained close friends for life. Even after they started their own families, they stayed as close as sisters.